Okay. All right, so we are here with Tish Venturini-Hoch, and Tisha, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. First, let's start with just a little bit of your origin story with regard to Modesto. So why don't you give me a little bit of your background coming from the 209?
You got it. Yeah, born and raised in Modesto. I had an older brother who was like 2 years ahead, and he was a big soccer guy. So he joined Ajax. I don't know, he was 10 or even maybe 9. So I used to go to all those games and follow him and all his buddies around. And I was like, I gotta get on one of these teams. Like, that's what I want to do. And they didn't have girls teams. So I started off on the Ajax Thunder U12. We were like 10 and 11 years old. It was me and like all dudes. And I made that team and actually started and played, and the guys were awesome. And it was really a great experience for me. Which I think helped kind of propel my career. Playing against boys is always great. And then there was finally a girls team. And so I joined, I think it was the Ajax Eclipse when I was probably 13, and played with the girls till I went off to college. So I was born and raised there, played some MYSA in the early years, and then played Ajax for the rest of the time. So great program. We used to be orange and black. I think they've changed it to green now, but it was a great experience. So I was blessed to be raised in a great town, great soccer town, huge soccer town.
Yeah. And I mean, talk to me a little bit about what it was like growing up in a town like that.
I don't know. I just always found a group of kids that were awesome and fun, and that I enjoyed spending time with. Diverse group of kids, which was great. And it just seemed like Ajax was like a tight, like we were all tight, all the different age groups. It was a club that was, tied in together. We'd watch each other. We'd go watch each other play. So it was a great experience.
Yeah. And talk to me about this camp, obviously, and would love for you to just give me the names and the magnitude of this camp, just because, again, when I was younger, you were the name that I knew, right? You look to your community of who's come here before. I remember when the Open Cup came to Modesto, and all these things for me that were like these moments in time for me that I remember. And even to the point where, when I was 15 and I moved to Florida to go to IMG Academy with the residency program, we played against the women's national team. And I remember seeking you out. I was like, oh, Mia Hamm, who? Wow, I need to find this person who I've heard so much about my whole life from my hometown. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a real thing, that pride of being from the Central Valley. So, to have these names almost seems impossible to me growing up in the Central Valley. So tell me a little bit about the camp and who we can expect to come to town.
Yeah. So my run with the national team, I was with, and in college, actually, I played college with all 3 of these players. So Christine Lilly, who was is from Connecticut, played at the University of North Carolina, 4 national championships, player of the year. She is the all-time cap leader in international soccer, like full stop. No man or woman has played or ever will, I don't think, but will have more caps than she has had. Hall of Fame, just an epic player, probably the all-around best player we ever had. So Christine Lilly's coming to town. Angela Kelly, who is the head soccer coach at Texas right now. She was at Tennessee before, D1 top 20 program. She was also at North Carolina, 4 national championships, All-American, Hall of Famer. She's from Canada, so she's a Hall of Famer. So she used to play against us when we were coming through the national team. We played a lot against Canada. I think we probably won most of the time, but it was hell playing against her. So Angela Kelly, who is a D1 soccer coach, who has just so much experience and knowledge of the game. And then Mia Hamm, who, if you don't know who that is, I don't know what's wrong with you, but North Carolina, 4-time NCAA winner, 4-time All-American, 2-time Player of the Year, World Hall of Fame, anything you can say. But beyond all of that, like, these are just great people. They're my best friends. And the reason we do this camp is because we just miss each other, and we have so much that we want to share with not only the kids but the parents about what's important, because not all these kids are going to be go to college on a full scholarship or be on the national team. Like a lot of them hopefully can go to college because of soccer, but the national team is like 1%. Like we want these kids to learn to be confident and strong and be able to face adversity and get around it, and also have fun. Like, we had so much fun. played at the highest level, World Cups and Olympics, and but we were always having fun and not taking ourselves too seriously. And I think that in this day and age is huge. So everybody's so serious now, and the parents are pushing, and it's just let's just play the game and have a good time with our friends. Whatever level that is, that's what we always come back to. And that's why the name of our camp is Team First, because we always put the team first. It was always about how I could help my teammates, or, my family, or whoever it is, my group of people, be better. I want to be good for you. And so that's kind of the philosophy of it all. And then we also get to hang out together when we do these camps. And so that's a bonus, but it's a good crew and we have a good time. So
I like that. I mean, and I guess, in line with what you're saying there, just the uniqueness of how sport obviously sort of shaped your life, but also these friendships that you've continued now that you're bringing them back to where you grew up. How important do you think is these environments, like getting to spend time with legends and spend time amongst your teammates? How important is all that towards kind of shaping you as a person?
Yeah, I mean, it's everything. Whenever you talk to anybody on the national team in my era, it's all about the relationships. And I mean, of course, we can remember we won World Cups and Olympics, but it's but that's not important. It's these people are in my life. Now, the 99ers, the team I was on, we still have a group chat, and it's somebody's birthday, and somebody got married, and somebody is a grandmother, whatever it is, it's we share that because we have this bond that is just because you've played on a lot of teams, but when you can have a bond like that with your team, it's so special. And so all of these kids have that opportunity because they're playing on these teams, whether they make it to college or whatever. Just it's important to be selfless and to work hard and be accountable, and all of these things that soccer and sport brings. Takes you on for the rest of your life in whatever you do, right? Because eventually soccer goes away. We cannot play forever. We do try, but we can't. So you can take all these skills you learn along the way and use them, and take the relationships, and they last forever. And it's hard to explain, but it's really a special deal. So we want to come in and just kind of show the dynamic of team and really what it's about. At whatever level or whatever job you're in, it takes you far.
Yeah. All right. So let's move to a couple little rapid fire questions for you. So before we get into that, though, I just do you have any favorite memories of playing Ajax, whether with the boys or with the girls, or any specific memories you have, whether it was, playing on a beat up field or a rainy day, or is there anything that you have that's sticks out for you as a Polaroid shot of that time?
Yeah, I mean, I can remember the first, because I remember when the boys coach called my dad, because he had the home phone and it rang, and I heard him go, my dad, and he was like, wait, who is this? And they said John Selecki, and I knew who that was, right? And he was basically saying, we want to invite your daughter out to play. We heard she's pretty good. And I can remember my dad was kind of oh man, I don't know. I don't know if that's a great, and I as soon as he hung up the phone, I was like, who was that? And he's like, this guy wants you to come out. I go, I'm there. I cannot wait. And it was an indoor, I think it was at Downey High School in the gym. It must've been raining or something. We played indoor soccer, and he did a bunch of ball skill stuff that I could do, but I'd never really seen before. And I was like, whoa, and all the boys could do it. And it was really competitive. And I was like, this is me. I'm in, I just felt this, oh, great. These kids want to compete and they're good. This is where I'm meant to be. And they took me in, they treated me like a sister, you know what I mean? They weren't jealous. They weren't mad at me that I was playing, and they didn't treat me any different. And I can remember, we played in a game and I got knocked down or something. And Tito, we called him, Albert Arias, ran up to the guy and got in his face. And he's like, you don't touch her. And the kid goes, her? Cause I had short hair. They just assumed I was a boy. And they're like, yeah, that's a girl. And all the other boys on the other team were like, what? No way. That can't be right. You know what I mean? And they were just disbelief. But so they were protective over me, but they treated me great. And those were great years. I love that. So that's one of the things. And my brother played, and I used to go to all his games, and they were really good. Dave DeHart was their coach, who's still involved. and they were so good. And so I went to a lot of those games and just was a part of that family as well. So it was really, really great experience.
It's so funny when you said Dave DeHart, because that was a name that comes to mind for me. Of like, I remember when that name was said when I was a kid. It was like that was the team you wanted to play for. Dave DeHart, you wanted to make that team. You wanted him talking about you, and it was like a big deal within that community. So let's do a couple rapid fires for you if they come to mind. If nothing comes to mind, also okay. But you're now down in Southern California, right? You've been down in Southern California for a long time, but what would you say is better Mexican food, NorCal or SoCal?
Gosh, I gotta go SoCal. I haven't, because I'm here now. I've been here for so long, so I'm gonna go SoCal.
Oh my goodness, horrible answer. When everybody comes to town for this camp, is there anywhere you need to take them? Anything that you need to do? Any sort of staples? Anything from like high school or coming back home that you have to stop by? Whether it's a friend, a family, a bar, or a restaurant?
You know what? They're not even there long enough to go anywhere. So we're gonna order out. Actually, there's a new Mexican restaurant. I don't know the name of it. My sister-in-law had it for me last time I was there. So we're actually gonna bring in some of that. So you're right. There's some good Mexican there. I mean, not really. We'll go over to I grew up at Del Rio Country Club. So like Sunday night, I'm gonna take a couple of them over there. That's where I got married. Like that's kind of where I ran. Like I was over at the tennis courts and the golf club a lot, and so I'm gonna take them over there for dinner, and they'll since they were all there for my wedding as well, so that'll be kind of but a lot has changed since I've been back, dude. Like I live out in like the country, and now it's like 3-lane highways going everywhere. It's crazy every time I go back. I don't know when the last time you went back, but it's like, wait, what happened to that little 2-lane country road? And now there's a big hospital. So it's really changed quite a bit. Yeah. But you can't. But the fruit stands and the nuts and my neighbors always bring over like some almonds and some walnuts. Like you can't beat that.
Okay. Exactly. What's your favorite soccer memory
ever?
If you had to put one.
Oh God, dude.
You've won 4 national championships, Olympics, World Cup. But if you had to put one there, and it doesn't have to be for like the biggest. But like this, like I made it moment, or I've, because I grew up again during my era, and similarly for you, like I remember looking up like ODP in the phone book, being like, oh, this is the thing, you had to go play in the Olympics, and so I know that the ambitions of the world have changed. People are like club and country and all these things, but is there one thing where you're like, you remember most?
I mean, I guess. Like as a kid, I was like, the Olympics was like my deal. Like I was an athlete. Like I played everything. I loved it. I used to watch it religiously, and soccer wasn't in it. Right. And so I was always like, well, I'm going to be in the Olympics I'd go out in the pool and swim and think I was in the Olympics, or I did gymnastics as a kid. I couldn't do the splits. So I wasn't going to, but I'm like, I'm going to be in there. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I can remember the day when they announced that the women's soccer was going to be in the Olympics. And I was in North Carolina. I think I was a freshman there. And when the announcement came out that women's soccer was going to be in the 96 Olympics, and I was like just getting on the national team, who would be the team that would go to the Olympics, I just remember thinking, oh my God, like there's a chance that this team will go and I'll be on it. Like I can remember just like stopping in my tracks and being like, wait, what did you just say? Like soccer's going to be in Olympics and I have a chance to make that team. It was like mind blowing. And then to actually go and not even win. I mean, we did win, but like just to be at the Olympics with all those other athletes, I can remember like coming down and like Shaq and those, the big basketball guys were there. All the swimmers were there. The gymnasts were like in the cafeteria with us. Like I was just like blown away. Like that blows my mind. Because back then, like the World Cup, I didn't even really know, there was no women's World Cup. So, and I never saw a lot of soccer on TV because it just wasn't there. So it was kind of far-fetched. But the Olympics was something I knew about. And if I could be in those, that would be like the greatest thing that ever happened. So I got to go with just being on that team. Winning was great, obviously, like mind-blowing, but just being a part of the U.S. Olympic team, representing the United States with all the other athletes, was like hands down.
I love that. And now on the coaching side in your lifetime, is there a favorite coaching experience or rewarding experience that you've had just being involved on the other side of the sport?
Oh, I was thinking about the other day. I was like going through my coaches that I've had, and I had like John Selecki was the guy that coached the boys team. Just kind of like gave me my first shot. So I often remember him. And then I go to like Marcia Hoagland, who was my high school coach, who was the awesomest lady you would ever meet, with so much joy and energy. Didn't know a lick about soccer, but just the experience I had with that team, I was like, that just was so awesome, right? And they brought the joy out of the game. So I had her. And then I went from that to like Anson Dorrance, who's like the greatest soccer coach of all time. So I've kind of like gone through the wheel, but every one of them gave me something that I could take along the way. Even my gymnastics coach, she was Betty Daly from Modesto. She had it out of her house, and it was like a factory. And I went in there when I was little, and she was always like, you couldn't say I can't, right? Like that wasn't part, like if you said that, she'd go, what? You cannot say that, right? Like, so I took that from her, and I took the joy from my high school coach, and I took the knowledge that like Anson was like, you guys can beat anybody. You can do whatever you want. So the confidence that he instilled. So I take little pieces from all of these coaches. And then Tony DeChico, who was my last coach, he passed away a few years ago. He was just like an uncle. Like he loved the game. He loved the team. We were like a huge family. And to him, that came first. The players, the team came first. So, and he would always get out on the field, and he would just stop and he'd go, I love my job. And then we would all just kind of look around and be like, what, this is our job. Like we're out here on a soccer field with each other, and that was our job. So I had a lot of great coaches along the way, whether they knew anything about soccer or not. I still took something from them, which I think is valuable. So I try to bring that when I coach at the high school, and I always try to stay positive. I always want to have energy. We win, great, but that's not what it's about. Like everybody now just is all like win, 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 and train extra and do all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, but are you having fun? Like, what are you getting from it? Like, does the kid want to do it? Like, we want the kids to come out and want to be there, and people ask me to train them all the time. And I'm like, does the kid, like, who wants me to train them? The parent or the kid? Like, if the kid wants to be there, great, but I'm not doing it for the parent. You know what I mean? So that's it. We just hammer that in. This TeamFirst is all about just, hey, make mistakes. That's going to happen. Like, don't play on eggshells, like come out, play, have fun, meet new people, challenge yourself, get out of your comfort zone is a big word, like slogan that we use, is get out of your comfort zone. Just go have fun. And that's what all those coaches in the end, it was about that. We laughed a lot, and so that's huge for us.
I love that. Well, I'll leave that as the last question to ask you. I appreciate it so much. I can honestly say that if it was me coming up right now, this feels like an opportunity that I would do anything in my power to make sure that I was attending, just because to be amongst greatness, to learn, to immerse myself in that, just feels like almost beyond my dream to have that much talent come to, my hometown. And so I look forward to hearing how it went. And I appreciate you taking the time today.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Thanks, Heath. I appreciate it. Good luck to you.
Thanks.